Many years ago, it became apparent to me that a particularly sensitive area in England is around Newcastle upon Tyne. I suppose you could say it applies to the broader area, into Durham and those outlying rural areas, but Newcastle is a very special city. And one of the reasons why is it's the northernmost main conurbation in England. Okay, there's Carlisle to the west, but Carlisle wouldn't be close to the same size as Newcastle. Newcastle has a special magic about it. I sensed it even when I was very young. I remember as a child I would watch programmes on IT. I always loved ITV as a child. We were lucky we didn't have to watch all the crap and shite on RTE. I mean, Jesus Christ, RTE's television. Imagine if I was stuck with RTE, but we always got the British channels coming down from Northern Ireland because our house located where it is with a high UHF aerial, we were able to actually get ITV and BBC, and then in the 80s Channel 4, which is in its own right, and absolutely in the 80s Channel 4 was just knocked it out of the park totally. You know, Channel 4 is the epitome of Channel 4 in the 80s was the epitome of everything great about British television. People minimise how good Channel 4 was in the 1980s. It ripped up the rule book. It started again. It brought in methods that people are still using. Channel 4 did. But I always remember as a kid there'd be this series on ITV called Dramarama, I always loved Dramarama. I always loved Dramarama because what would happen would be, and it was absolutely in the right spirit of what ITV was about. There was a different one-off drama done by all the different franchise holders of ITV. Ulster Television did a really good one in 1987. The Undertow of the Armada. But I always remember Tyne Teas. Whenever you'd see it was from Tyne Teas, you knew whether it would be good or not. It would certainly not be fucking boring. And Tyne Teas was the ITV franchise holder for the greater Newcastle upon Tyne area. And they were very, very innovative and very daring as a TV station. But it generally reflects the culture of Newcastle. What we're seeing now is that there's a lot of defiance happening in the greater Manchester Merseyside area. Good for them. Please go for it. Oh, but watch Newcastle. Watch Newcastle. We're not hearing what's happening in Newcastle at the moment. I don't know personally what's happening. I'm not saying that there's something being suppressed at the moment there. I simply don't know. But once Newcastle goes up, we won't hear the end of it. Newcastle was always England's rebel city. I think there's a number of geographic reasons for that. You should never underestimate geography. One must never underestimate geography, because Newcastle as a city in a greater conurbation would be the size of Dublin. But aside from the Newcastle area, it's actually very isolated. I remember watching an episode of The Tube, and one particular act that was performing on The Tube had to perform later that night in Edinburgh. And they still had about 100 miles to drive from Newcastle northeast to get to Edinburgh. Although you'd think, from our own geographical ignorance, oh sure, it's the north of England, it's not that far from Scotland. It's very far. Newcastle is far from everywhere. I say that as a compliment. Remember last year being in a hotel in Donegal, and I was in the bar. I was having a coffee before I went to the gym. I don't drink alcohol. I haven't drunk alcohol since 2004. But I was chatting to two middle-aged English women, and, they were those kind of middle-aged English women who I always really like. They're the salt of the earth. They're middle-classy. They're respectable. They're decent. And one woman was from Northumberland, and another woman was Geordie, and it was chalk and cheese. Because we were talking, somehow the conversation got onto the British royal family. And I said what I would do with the British royal family. I said, first of all, I would remove all their constitutional rights their implicit constitutional rights in British law. And the second thing I would do, I said, is I would confiscate all their property, including Balmoral, Buckingham Palace, Sandringham, all the rest of it. And I would buy the British royal family one block of council flats in Stockton-on-Tees, and I would make them live the rest of their lives there. Because if you requisition all their property, including the Queen's private property, Balmoral is the private property of the Queen, not for long. We did that here in Ireland after 1936. We just took all the royal property. We took it all in 1936, like the Curragh. and the Phoenix Park. They were all British royal properties, and after 1936 we just said they're ours now. Send us the bill if you want. No contract, no consent, return to centre. That was the one time where it fucking worked. But anyway, this is what should be done to the British royal family, and they should lose all their titles in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, wherever else they fucking have titles. Am I in favour of abolishing the monarchy? No. Because a lot of British people are still addicted to that fucking cult. These Germans, these Prussians. Inbred Prussians they are. Did you know that the Queen and Prince Philip are of the same descent from Queen Victoria? I mean, they are like Irish travellers. They all have sex with one another. They're just like the Irish travellers. They're all totally inbred. Totally inbred. Anyway, I said to these people, yeah, that's what I'd do with the British royals. I said I'd completely remove all their rights, remove all their money, requisition all their property, and make them live the rest of their natural lives in a block of council flats in Stockton-on-Tees. Build it for them. Because Stockton-on-Tees has a terrible problem with housing. You only have to look at Benefit Street to see that. Stockton-on-Tees is extremely isolated, poor and marginalised. But that would suit the British royals. That would suit the British royals. You know, you could tell the people in Stockton-on-Tees, here come the Germans. Tell that to them. It's because Stockton-on-Tees doesn't have a lot of immigration. It's still very white English. And the documentary Benefit Street was very interesting to watch because these were ordinary, middle ground, English, white, working class people. And they were decent and they looked after one another in the Tylery estate in Stockton-on-Tees. It was a very moving documentary. It was Channel 4 at its best. You know, there was a woman with a disabled child and how all the people who'd no money didn't have a pot to piss in, but they did their best. That's all that was needed. That's all that was needed. You don't need money to be a good person. And if you are a good person, you don't need money. Bit of a repetition there, but you know what I mean. Yes, I mean, Liverpool would be too close to the centre of activity for the British Royals. I would be thinking, where would we put this block of flats we'd put the British Royals in? Build it for them. Build it for them. Get the same people who did Grenfell Tower to build it for them. Because you know what happened to fucking Grenfell Tower? You know, yeah, we get the same people to do that for the Royals up in Stockton-on-Tees. Give them an acre. Give them an acre. We'll take the horses, though. We won't let them have the horses. We'll give them an acre for the Queen's few remaining inbred corgis to go out and have a shite. And then, in relation to royal security, because nobody should attack the royals, I'm not inciting violence against the royals, give them one of those security companies that they use in England, those private security companies, you know, so that they can make sure that they don't escape. Make sure that they don't escape. But no, I wouldn't just, you know, I was saying this to these people in England, and the Geordie woman was fucking falling off her chair laughing at this, and she agreed with me. And the other woman, I think my memory serves me right, she was from the Lake District or Northumberland, was most offended. I have to say, she said, she was from Derbyshire. That's it. I find your remarks deeply offensive. That's okay, I said, I don't mind. I said, the world will keep turning. But she said, I have to notify you, really, that you are insulting my royal family. I said, what country are you in now? Well, she said, this is Donegal. I said, what country are you in now? Well, Southern Ireland. Well, I said, if you believe that, well, I said, then you deserve to have your royals insulted. I said, this is the Republic of Ireland. It's not Southern Ireland. I said, Southern Ireland never existed. It went out of existence around 1920, Southern Ireland did. So I said, this is the Republic of Ireland. I said, and I say this with the utmost respect to you, but I'm here in my own country, which is a republic. I said, I believe in a republic. I believe in this republic. I said, the fact that our country is presently being run into the ground by a crowd of Fine Gael gowls and psychopaths who are the biggest threat to our... Forget about the immigrants. Okay, I'm opposed to open borders for specific reasons. That's not a hatred of the people who come into this country. I don't hate the people, you know, the blacks and the, The Nigerians and the Brazilians and all these. The Brazilians are great. I wish we'd more of them. I wish everybody was like the Brazilians. They're really nice people. The Muslims, we have them in this country, and that's not their fault that they're here. Well, I don't hate those people the slightest. I hate the politicians who allowed this to happen, and the woke NGOs, that €5 billion racket that we have in this country, the woke NGOs. I hate them. It wouldn't be the Stockton and Tees option for them, I can assure you. Anyway, what I said to this woman was, you're in my country now. I said, you're not even in Northern Ireland. You're in my country now. I said, you have to kind of accept the fact that I'll say these things. I said, I'm not forcing these opinions on you, but I'm stating my own opinions. These are my opinions. I said, I'm very much opposed to the monarchy. Very much opposed to it. It should have no constitutional power. It should have no constitutional power. And it was interesting to see the cultural difference between the Geordie and the woman from Derbyshire, because it was miles apart. It was the Geordie woman laughed her ass off. Newcastle and Greater Newcastle has a long, 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 long tradition of being the rebel city in England, and you're not told that. It's not Merseyside. It's not even Manchester. It's Newcastle that's the rebel city in England. Look at its history. Look at its history, and look at its culture, including Tyne television. Look at that. Look closer at how independent-minded they are up there in Newcastle. It comes, as I said, from the fact that it is geographically isolated. That's a major factor, and that's not acknowledged, but it's a major factor in the different culture and outlook that people in Newcastle have. I think it's, of all the English cities, it's probably the closest culturally to Dublin. More, we hear all this about Merseyside. Yes, a lot of Irish people emigrated to Merseyside, but there's a much older cultural thing, a medieval or an early medieval cultural thing, where Dublin evolved from being a Danish and Viking city into being maybe a Middle English city. So did Newcastle. I'm not sure if Newcastle was settled by the Danes or Vikings, but the historical trajectory between Newcastle and Dublin, and even the working class vocabulary, is strikingly similar. It's strikingly similar between Newcastle and Dublin. This is never acknowledged. I only spotted it from reading Viz, because Viz had characters Biffa Beacon, and Viz also had characters Sid the Sexist. And the patois vocabulary that they would use in both of those cartoons, Sid the Sexist and Biffa Bacon in particular, they were written in pure Geordie. And Viz is accurate, because Viz is always accurate. The accuracy of Viz is second to none. Viz always get it right. But the patois that these people used in Tyneside was strikingly similar to that old working class Dublin accent that you would hear, and that same vocabulary that they would use. Dublin is a rebel city. We broke the British Empire in 1916, and we did. We broke the Second British Empire in 1916. There was no going back from that. 1916 in Dublin was a huge event, a huge cultural event, a huge occultic event, a huge spiritual event. And the British fucked it up. So they took the bait. They fell into the trap in 1916. Oh, it was an incredible thing, 1916. For many, many years I bought the Fine Gael woke line that these people were fanatics and that they were nutcases. Well, 1916 created the Republic of Ireland, whether you like it or not. And I don't support Sinn Féin, I don't support the IRA, I don't support political violence. But that is the reality. People sending me emails there, hey, I'm a wanted man. But the men of 1916 knew they were doomed. And they did it anyway. Bear that in mind. They knew they were doomed and they did it anyway. In many regards, they had something similar to the people on the alternative scene now. We're not going to become hostages in a post office in Dublin. What we're doing is we're doing it out here in the alternative scene. Digitally, we're doing it. This is the way we're going to keep doing it. I'm opposed to physical violence. Absolutely opposed to physical violence. I never have supported the IRA or any of those terrorist groups, whatever may have been actually motivating them, because I think what's becoming clear to people now is that Sinn Féin is an establishment party. Sinn Féin isn't interested in a united Ireland. Sinn Féin's opposed to a united Ireland. Okay, they don't tell you that, but they are. They're opposed to a united Ireland. Because if we had a united Ireland, Sinn Féin would be history. So their whole paradigm is based on harping on about creating a 32-county republic. It's the last thing those bastards want. The loyalists want it more than they do. The loyalists want it more than they do. Look at Newcastle and look what's happening in England. Look at how, there was somebody, I very rarely respond to comments on my YouTube because I would drag you around the bend. Twitter's my place, Facebook's my place. I put the videos up on YouTube, I let them sit. But one person put up, I reproduced a video by Dolores Cahill. I'm not an unconditional supporter of Dolores Cahill. I put those videos up for people to see. I'm not an opponent of Dolores Cahill, I'm just reserving my position. But I put the video up and somebody wrote, Dolores Cahill, the first thing she wrote was, I'm healthcare. Oh, great. I replied to her, bangs pot. I'm sorry, pet. Before you make me a sandwich. I'm sorry, pet. That old one, I'm healthcare. Oh, ha, ha. I'm afraid that one is wearing thin, love. That one is wearing thin. Oh, I'm healthcare. Halo descends and Angel starts singing. Sorry, pet, that was April. And never, we didn't do that NHS banging pots and pans thing here. We tried. I could see how they were beginning to try. They knew it wouldn't run here. It wouldn't run here. Banging pots and pans for fucking people who do TikTok videos. There are very many good people working in healthcare, but it doesn't mean they should get a free pass. Nobody should get a free pass, neither should they. One of the principles of a republic is that nobody should have unbridled power. And I think also we're seeing the distinction between whether people acknowledge it or not. The cultural difference of Ireland having been a republic since 1936 and Britain not. And Northern Ireland is completely left out of the conversation. Completely left out of the conversation. Northern Ireland is finished. Northern Ireland's ebbing away in front of us. I feel sorry for many of the people in Northern Ireland. They're never included in anything. We don't include them in anything, and the Brits don't. They're always, they're always at the end of the table. Northern Ireland is. It doesn't work. But if we were to create a united Ireland, you see, the problem with a united Ireland for the establishment in Montrose, all of those drug addicts and those perverts in Montrose, the Irish Times, all the cat ladies, the menopausal cat ladies with their cat litter in the and their stale red wine and pizza crumbs. The problem for them, wouldn't be a problem for me, I think it'd be great, but the problem for them with the united Ireland is that suddenly the second city of Ireland isn't Cork, and the third city of Ireland isn't Limerick. The second city of United Ireland is Belfast, and the third city of United Ireland is Derry. Do you think Belfast, this is a hypothetical question, answers on a postcard, do you think Belfast and Derry will settle for being second fiddle to Dublin the way Cork and Limerick do? Answers on a postcard.